about, when we were talking about Nancy and her haircut, I wondered to myself, did she ever have moral foundations? And they've kind of dissipated over time since she's been in public office for so long. And the reason I asked that is because I think in our last conversation, you recommended to me the documentary on HBO, The Swamp, I believe, with Matt Gaetz. And I watched it that night, and I thought it was a fabulous documentary. But one of the things that was striking to me was, I definitely look at Matt Gaetz in a completely new way after that documentary, because I kind of always thought he was like this bro, and I didn't really have much use for him, to be honest. But seeing that, I definitely came away with the sense that he has a very clear set of moral foundations. And even in the end of that movie, he got up at CPAC, and I remember I was actually there at CPAC when he made this speech and said that he wasn't going to take, I think, lobbyist money anymore, and was the first Republican to come out and say that he wasn't going to take this lobbyist money anymore. And that, to me, is someone that's come to Washington with a very clear set of principles that probably are not always going to help him in his life in public service. But I look at someone like Nancy Pelosi, and I have to imagine that way back in the day when she got into politics, she did it for probably good reasons, but being in Washington so long, and, being that powerful person that gets to go around and basically do whatever you want, I think that gets to people after a while. Would you agree with me that I think people might start from a good place and then quickly descend into a different place?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair for me to say that she started from a bad place and she just built on it. That her only motivation was to have power and, getting elected to Congress and then playing the games inside, and, with the way that games are played for the purpose of winning, and then, having all the power. I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. She might have started off very pure and very well intended, or she might not have. She might have been the person that just saw Congress as a way of being the boss of people and having and getting her way. I don't know. It's not fair of me to know how she started. Mm-hmm. I think but if I give everyone the benefit of the doubt and they get in for reasons because they want to make the community better and they think they have the skill and the perseverance to do it, then they have to, once they're in it, they've got to deal with the infections that they can get from being in a swampy environment. Mm-hmm. And, this is where you start to see profiles in courage. This is where you start to see skills. I asked myself, would I be willing to make a deal that wasn't so much on the up and up, but it's no big deal because everyone does it. And in the end, whatever cause I'm going to get will be fulfilled. So that's what matters anyway. Well, you start with rationalizations. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if faced with something, would I hold to a principle, so I can look in the mirror and say that the principle is what matters, or lose the opportunity to enact a public policy that would be terrific, So I think that the people who find themselves in public office have to deal with that. Now, I do believe that there are people who get in it and it's like it's water off of duck's back. They can do anything for the purpose of getting what they want, and they don't care who they step on, and they'll lie to your face about not having stepped on someone when they absolutely destroyed someone. There's all kinds of people that get in. When we see a public official running for office, it's very important to be aware of your gut feeling about that person. That is, I like that person. Yes, they exaggerated on such and such, but I could reason that the exaggeration won't be a problem to the big cause. And this is where you've got to be honest with yourself, and it's hard because you might justify something that isn't so on the up and up, but the greater cause wins out, or it's a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. Now, I wrote in my book, I said, this is a really interesting thing. Donald Trump, is he a liar? Okay, I'll answer that question for all of us. Yes. He lies about stuff. Okay.
Conservatives like to fight me on that one. I'm like, no, dude, Trump has his moments. Come on.
well, I think I'll say something that conservatives will be happy with when I'm done saying it. But basically, yeah, he's a liar. So the thing is, we're talking about Pelosi. Is Pelosi a liar? Well, I'm not going to think too hard. The answer is yes. Okay. So we have two liars. Now let's throw another public official in there. Is so-and-so a liar? The answer is probably going to be yes, 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 yes. So the whole issue of being a liar won't actually be the thing that determines whether I like this person or that person. Because here's the interesting thing. Even though Trump is a liar, he's the most honest politician I've ever seen. Now, how do you square that? Okay. He's transparent. He's unfiltered. He's available like you've never seen. Every day, he's talking with the people. Okay. We know him very well. He's not the kind of person that I think has the ability to even hide anything about who he is, even when he says things that we don't agree with or don't make sense for the situation. But if I was going to make a decision on who's the most honest person in Washington, Donald Trump passes the mustard. Even though I could say without hesitation, does he lie? What he lies about, I tend not to care about, depending. I mean, it will always depend. I don't want to say I never care when a person lies. But we get so much caught up in the weeds like children, and we don't think like adults, the grander purpose of public policy, which is why, however much you may think he lies, however much you don't like him, that list that you did the other day, that was a small part of what he did.
Very small part, yeah.
That was a small part. And I even recognize there's some things on there that political opponents say, well, I don't like that one that he did. Okay, fine. But were there 3 others that you did like? Because you're not going to get everything you want with any person who's in that office. You're not going to be 100% satisfied. But what can you get the most of? Who can be the most transparent? Well, Donald Trump has been over 3.5 years now in office. In a short time, he's changed things. I don't even think it's the Republican Party anymore.
No, I said the same, and I said the same thing in that video. I think that Trump has functionally created a third party. It may be called the Republicans, but it bears no resemblance to what the Republican Party was before Trump. It is a completely new political party. And I do think that it is more about, it's more of a populist party. I would argue it's more about actually doing stuff and helping people. And I would argue that frankly, the old school Republicans, and I think this is absolutely true of the Democrats as well, are just more representative of the political establishment. Trump is a direct, Trump is the thing that came along to balance the fact that the political establishment had taken over both parties.
Yeah.
And we always need balance. If you do not have balance in life, something is going to show up and give you that balance. And Donald Trump is the thing that showed up.
One of the ironies is I think he fell out more with traditional Republicans than he did with Democrats. Trump used to be a Democrat. Trump could have run as a Democrat. And had he run as a Democrat, many of the Democrats who claim to be against him in terms of his policies, actually, if he had run as a Democrat, they might actually find him very acceptable. Mm-hmm. So he's one of the most remarkable things that's ever happened in the political arena. And I'm really concerned that we don't learn the lessons. You know, we get these caricatures. We spoke about that before. These sort of the black and white way of seeing things, and it's not nuanced enough. And what's exciting is I do think that there are maybe enough people who realize what Trump brought to the political arena. I wrote in my book that those people who claim to be against Trump, are missing an opportunity because Trump is clearing the table politically that makes their ideas more listenable, more if you get rid of the violence, because once you do the violence, you can't hear. You know, there's no issues other than the violence. But what Trump did is his most ardent detractors, the people who hate him the most, don't realize the opportunity that Trump has created for them because he's cleared the table for political discussion.
Mm-hmm.